In this video, we'll look at 4 ways to make better decisions and also solve a problem that stumped Einstein. Welcome to A Game of Money, where we'll use games to learn how we can make better decisions in investing, business, and careers. I'm a big believer in the idea that all of us are just 3 or 4 life-changing decisions away from achieving our aspirations in life. But the challenge is when we hit those turning points in life, we can't suddenly start making good decisions. Rather, we'd have to practice making good decisions at every available opportunity in our daily lives. And here's the important bit. To make good decisions, we need to tap into our rational thinking ability and not rely solely on our intuition. In the last video, we took the CRT or the cognitive reflection test to assess our rational thinking ability. You can check it out here if you haven't already tried it. So in this video, we're going to look at simple yet powerful techniques through which we can improve our rational thinking and decision-making abilities so that we can all start making brilliant decisions and get closer to our aspirations in life. But where do we start? Well, let's play a game. In 1934, the great physicist Albert Einstein was sent this brain teaser by his friend and psychologist Wertheimer. Einstein later said that he was almost fooled by it, so let's look at it and try our luck. An old car has to drive a stretch of 2 miles up and down a hill, 1 mile going up and 1 mile going down. Because the car is so old, it can only drive the first mile, the uphill stretch, at an average speed of 15 miles per hour. It can of course go faster during the second mile, the downhill stretch. The question is, how fast does the car have to drive the second mile to achieve an average speed of 30 miles per hour for the entire 2-mile journey? This might take you some time, so feel free to pause the video and crack the question. Before we look at the solution to the game, let's look at 4 ways in which we can improve our decision-making ability. One of these is actually a clue to the game, so those of you who haven't solved the game yet may want to follow along carefully. If you have already solved the game without the clue, then go ahead and use the comments below to let me know. I like to make a count of how many were able to solve the game without looking at the clue. I have picked 4 methods for sharing with you based on the fact that they are very easy to implement, extremely effective, and counterintuitive, making them very likely to be overlooked. Now let's look at the first method, which I call actively delaying the decision. The reason delaying actively is effective is because by delaying the decision, we give ourselves additional time to collect new information about the problem at hand and also evaluate more options. Or it simply helps us avoid the emotional decisions which are taken in the heat of the moment. So how do you balance it and know when to stop looking for options and actually make the decision? Psychologists tested how many people bought jams when only 6 flavors were displayed versus when 26 flavors were displayed, and found out that we are 6 times more likely to buy when only 6 flavors were displayed and are not overwhelmed by the choices. They further concluded that we feel more comfortable and also make better decisions when we have about 3 to 6 choices. I think we can use that as a benchmark and make important decisions after we've looked at 3 to 6 choices. Actively delaying doesn't just work well for decision making, but also for creativity. One final word of caution. You should be passionate or involved with the problem at hand and hold it at the back of your mind when you're delaying your decision. That's why I'm calling it actively delaying. Simply delaying wouldn't work. Now here's the second method, which is taking an outsider's perspective to the decision problem at hand. This is based on the fact that we are able to readily notice the biases and flaws in others, but are unable to see our own shortcomings. A hacky way of getting around this is to force ourselves into the shoes of an imagined friend who advises us on the problem. This method works its magic by helping us take our ego and emotion out of the picture, which should lead to a more rational choice. Now let's look at method 3, inversion, which is solving the problem by inverting or reversing the problem. Charlie Munger, who is Warren Buffett's partner and brain trust, talks about inversion process being one of his preferred approaches to rational thinking. It works like this. Let's say you want to make money investing in stocks. Now, typically, you will go about finding ways in which you can make gains in the stock market. With inversion, you do just the opposite. Go ahead and make a list of ways in which you can lose money in stocks. Buying high and selling low. Investing in stocks of companies which do not have a sound business. Selling stocks within a year of buying and therefore paying higher taxes on the gains. And the list can go on. Now, once you made the list, make it a point to not do anything you've written down in that list. That's inversion. Inversion is a simple mental trick, but it works beautifully. And here's the last and my favorite method, which I call checking for solvability or feasibility. A lot of times in life, we try something too hard for too long, only to realize later that it's taking us nowhere. It could be a job or a stock investment or a business venture. The reason this happens to us is because we are unable to look at the facts in an unbiased way and end up deluding ourselves that it'll all work out eventually. If what we are doing is not taking us towards our goals for too long, then it's time we made a change. Maybe we're trying to do something which is not at all possible within the constraints we are faced with. A first option could be to challenge the constraints. For example, at work, if you don't feel fulfilled, you might want to ask your management to put you in a different team, or you might want to take up a different project. Another option is, of course, to acknowledge the fact that the problem can't be solved within the constraints and move on, which could save us a lot of time and heartache. So to summarize, here are the 4 methods. Actively delaying the decision, taking an outsider's perspective, inversion, and checking for solvability or feasibility. Again, these are not the only methods, but these are the simplest in my opinion. And I'm sure you're smart enough to decide when and where to use these methods based on the time you have at hand. Alright, now let's get back to our game. I hope you spotted the clue, but in case you did not, then let me give it to you. The clue is the 4th method that we discussed, which is checking for solvability. With that clue ringing in your mind, you may want to pause the video and take a second look at the game before I give you the answer. Alright, here's the answer. You have the distance and the speed for the uphill stretch. So go ahead and find the time taken as distance by speed. It works out to 1/15 of an hour or 4 minutes. Now, we also have the distance and the speed for the overall journey. Here the time taken works out to 2/30th of an hour, which also equates to 4 minutes. So what does this mean? To achieve an average speed of 30 miles per hour, the car should have covered 2 miles in 4 minutes. But unfortunately, it has only covered the uphill stretch in 4 minutes. It doesn't have any time left to even get started on the downhill stretch. And therefore, the 30 miles per hour average speed for the overall journey is unachievable. Look at how the question leads you down the wrong path by saying, for the downhill stretch, higher speed is possible. This is what happens sometimes in real life as well. We read too much into the cues, say while investing, at work, or in business, and go down the wrong path, when in fact the problem cannot be solved unless the constraints are removed. I hope you liked the game and how it exemplifies the checking for solvability method that we discussed, and also learned a trick or two to think better than Einstein. So that brings us to the end of the video. If you liked the video, please give it a thumbs up and consider subscribing to the channel and also clicking the bell notification button. Also, let me know in the comment section below which of the 4 methods you liked best or found interesting. If you're new to the channel, then here's a playlist of interesting videos which you'd like to take a look at. I'll keep populating it as I create more videos. See you again.